Hello, I'm Clint Walker, and this is Real Estate Appraiser Secrets. And today we're going to be talking about a thing that an appraiser cannot do. So you might be wondering, what can an appraiser not do? And this is, this might surprise you. But one of the things that an appraiser cannot do is a BPO, a broker price opinion. We cannot really do official CMAs, and we cannot just give out values of things, even if we think that we know them. And this will all make sense to you after I explain it, but the reason for this is that the powers that be, and honestly, I forget the names of a lot of these authorities over my industry. It's like there's a bunch of them, and the names are all very close to each other, but kind of confusing. So it's either the Appraisal Qualifications Board or the Appraisal, governing body. Something has essentially determined that as an appraiser, as a certified appraiser, by virtue of our training and our certification and, the weight of our opinion, in that, you can take my opinion to a bank and borrow money based on what I've said, or any appraiser has said, based on the authority that we have, just as being appraisers, we can't give out these values in any form except in an appraisal, because when we do an appraisal, we are doing all of this extra research and analysis and verification to essentially back up our word and our opinion. And I don't know if this is like just me growing up in the 90s, being a 90s kid, but I remember all this stuff in movies and TV back then of like Green Berets, and maybe it was even James Bond. They would talk about having to register their hands, their bare hands, as a lethal weapon, because they're so well trained to fight and do what they do that they are lethal in any capacity. And I don't know, my brain always just, every time I get reminded of this issue that, an appraiser has too much training, too much authority, too much weight behind their word to do these easier, lighter, potentially cheaper things, because, a BPO, you can get a BPO for like $50. We can't do them just because if someone goes out and says, well, an appraiser told me this, there's too much authority behind it. And I just thought that would be interesting. I actually get asked for things like this all the time. I get phone calls, from agents who just need to know one thing. What is an extra garage bay worth? What's a covered patio worth on this house? What's an in-ground pool worth on this house? Can you help me with just, a CMA, just some comps, just this or just that? Little things that are totally reasonable requests, but the powers that be say that if these people are calling me because I'm an appraiser, then anything I produce for them is an appraisal. And an appraisal has all of these requirements that the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice say have to go into it to protect the public trust, to preserve the public trust. Because at some point in the past, the implication there is appraisers did not do a good job of preserving the public trust. You could buy off an appraiser, you could get shady appraisals. You see a lot of that in pop culture too. I've watched the Sopranos series about 4 times, and there's like a series in there. There's a series in there of a few episodes where they've got this corrupt appraiser who's giving them values on things, helping them scam the government. So this stuff happened. These stories come from somewhere. I think that in some of this stuff, in some of the legal stuff that Donald Trump is involved in, there's an appraiser involved on the hook, having sort of been corrupt in some of these things. At least that's the allegation. So these things happen. And the powers that be want us to preserve the public trust, and I think that's extremely important. So that's your tip for the day. You may never find that useful, but I think you'll at least find it interesting. And if you call me for some question that you perceive as simple, and my answer is it depends, or I can't really do that for you, or I'm going to have to work out something that makes sense for me to charge you a fee because of the extra work I have to do, you'll understand that that's where it's coming from. It's not just that I'm greedy, and it really is. There's just a lot of extra analysis and work that goes into it. And I'll say I've been another thing that sort of touches on this that I've been thinking about lately is that one of the perceptions is, one of the reasons I get called for these questions is that I think the public perception is that appraisers know values. They just know, either we have this list of standard adjustments or standard values, or we just know because we work in an area a lot. And I will tell you sincerely that we do not have that list, and we do not just know what values are. What your appraiser does know, and this is what I really like most about what I do, what we do know is what questions to ask, and then how to find the answers to those questions. So I remember when I was in, it's like starting a whole new video at the end of this video, but this won't take very long. I remember when I was in trainee classes, one of my instructors saying, every appraisal, which is essentially every property that you're trying to find the value on, is really just a problem you're trying to solve. And the way you solve problems is by knowing the right questions to ask. So there's another just interesting, maybe random thing. But maybe in your own work, when you go to start pricing a house, think of it as a problem you're trying to solve. Think about the questions you're trying to ask, you're trying to answer. And those questions are typically start with, what do buyers care about? What will buyers pay for? What can buyers pay for in this property's location? And if you start asking those questions, you'll really start to unpack all this stuff. Like, if it's raw, if you're pricing land, those questions look like, can a house be built on this? Is this property agricultural? If so, what can be grown on this? What does my buyer or my potential buyer care to grow on this? Is selling it for agricultural purposes going to bring the most money? So you just start asking all these questions, and from there you start hunting down the answers in the comps, in the market. And that's what an appraiser does every day. That's why our reports take hours, and why we have to charge so much money for them. So anyway, I hope all that's helpful. If it's not helpful, I hope it's at least interesting. And if I can be of service to you, you can find me at appraiserpool.com. And we can do appraisals, we can do professional measurements. I will do consultations to help answer some of those questions you're coming up with, or bring up questions you may not have thought of before. But anyway, I appreciate you watching as always, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.